Central Africa, home of the gorillas. Wildlife filmmaker Thomas Behrend wants to make one of the first films about lowland gorillas. Much less is known about them than about mountain gorillas. They are hidden by the jungle.
You just can't see anything.
Week by week he gets closer to the animals with the help of experienced trackers and gorilla researcher Angelique Todd. Finally, he captures unique insights into the family lives of the kings of the jungle. The Dzanga-Sangha National Park, covering 4,000 square kilometers in the Central African Republic. At its heart is the river Sangha, the region's lifeblood and an important transport artery. Near the borders with Cameroon and the Republic of Congo, the protected area is home to more than 3,000 gorillas and many other rare animals. This is where wildlife filmmaker Thomas Behrend wants to make a film about a family of lowland gorillas. But even getting there is a challenge.
You're driving like hell, huh?
A 10-hour flight is followed by an 8-hour jeep ride through heat, mud and jungle. Over many years, an effort has been made to habituate the group of gorillas that Thomas wants to visit to human beings, an important basis for their conservation and that of the whole area.
Here we go.
Dusk is falling when Thomas finally arrives at the Bai Hoku camp. Students and scientists from around the world come here to watch gorillas.
Wow, I am really glad to finally be here. It was a long journey and my bones ache. First I'll sleep.
It is a short night for Thomas, though. He has an appointment with Angelique Todd at 6 o'clock next morning.
Because we weren't close enough for them to know.
She's from Britain, and she's managing the habituation of a gorilla family.
Angelique, can you explain the process of habituation?
Habituating means that they're used to humans to such an extent that they just get on with their normal lives. And ignore us. It can take up to 5 to 7 years. So today the gorillas you're going to see, they'll just treat us as any other animal in the forest.
And is there any codex of how I have to behave? Any rules?
And when we go in the forest, we're going to have one tracker in front of us and one tracker behind us, and that's mainly because there's lots of elephants in this area. So if we run into an elephant very closely, that means you can just turn around, follow the tracker, and hopefully get out of danger. If the elephant charges, obviously, then you have to run. It's the opposite of gorillas. You have to run. And when we get to the gorillas, we have to stay as one group and not, you can't just walk around wherever you like, just stay together, otherwise you might get targeted as one person.
Finally, Thomas sets off on his first journey into the jungle. Angelique will show him what signs to look out for in order to find the gorillas in this huge area. They are assisted by trackers from the nomadic Ba'aka tribe. They know the jungle like no other. Thomas would be lost without the orienteering skills and knowledge of the indigenous people.
Richtig Gas, die Jungs.
These boys are
Also
really fast.
Dieser
It's
Geschwindigkeit,
not
die
easy
die
to keep
Ba'akas
up with
hier
them without
vorlegen, zu
falling
folgen,
over and getting out
ohne
of breath.
hinzufallen und aus der Puste zu kommen, das ist schon nicht ganz einfach.
After an hour's walk in a tropical 30 degrees, Angelique finds the first sign.
So the vine here, so they ate just the bark. They
Okay, they stripped it off.
just strip off the bark and then they eat the right in the middle here. This is the plant that's found absolutely everywhere. It's all this tangle up above. It's called Homania, and this is what all apes generally eat. This is full of protein.
The search for tracks continues.
See, there's a handprint here. The four fingers, and then there's normally a thumbprint a bit lower down.
Can you say how big the size is?
Yeah, certainly. That's like a juvenile.
This is like a juvenile?
A juvenile. So the silverback's knuckles are a lot fatter.
There are 200 kilometers of trails through the jungle. Nobody knows where the silverback, the leader of the group of gorillas, will be today. In the dense forest, there are no points of reference. With
map
luck,
is here.
the map will help.
And we're down here. And the map is on a scale of 500 meters per square. So approximately we're 2.5 away.
Also diese Karte von
Well,
Angelique, die
it's
ist ja
all
schön
very
und gut,
well
aber sie
having
zeigt
Angelique's
irgendwie
map.
nur, so
To
kommt es
my
mir
eyes,
zumindest
it
vor, die
seems only to show
Hauptstraßen
the main
irgendwie in
roads
diesem
in this
gewaltigen
huge
Dschungel.
jungle.
Tatsächlich
But
ist
in
das
reality, it's
wie
like a
ein
huge
riesiges
spider's web of
Spinnennetz,
trails.
tausende von
And
Faden.
with or without a map,
Und ob
I
mit
would be
oder ohne Karte,
completely
ich wäre
lost.
hier in jedem Fall völlig verloren.
Thanks to the Ba'akas, the march continues.
Jetzt ganz nah dran an der
We are now
Gorilla-Gruppe.
very close to a group of
Führer
gorillas.
jetzt das Tempo
This is why the
verlangsamen,
guides have slowed
um die
down so
Tiere
they
nicht zu
don't
erschrecken.
disturb
Und
the
wir beginnen
animals.
jetzt mit dem,
Now they
mit
are
dem
clicking their
Schnallflaut,
tongues, this clock clock, to let the Makumba know
Makumba
we
zu
are
zeigen,
coming.
dass wir kommen.
An adult obviously slept up here. But it's a huge nest, so she's probably slept with a juvenile.
Suddenly, one of the trackers notices something.
Hola, Montevideo. He's just going up a tree. Hello, sweetie.
Finally, 10 meters up, Silverback Makumba is visible at full height.
Was für ein Glück.
How lucky.
Erst mal
First
draußen
time
mit
out with
Angelique
Angelique
und
and
schon
I've
den
already
Silberback
seen a
sehen.
silverback.
Das hätte ich
I
wirklich nicht
wasn't
erwartet.
expecting that.
And this particular silverback, this is Makumba?
This is Makumba.
As Makumba carefully descends, the team follow.
Now we walk behind. But I expect that Makumba's just over here eating his leaves that he just brought down. So he brought down a branch with him.
Eating is the gorilla's main occupation. Leaves, seeds, fruits and insects are on the menu.
They get the branch with the leaves on, and they, well, I've just ruined it now. They go like this and then eat the leaves.
Despite the relaxed meal, Makumba is always watchful and regularly stays in touch with his family using short calls. While Angelique stays with the silverback, the Ba'akas show Thomas where, in the coming weeks, he will find the tap for the camp.
diesem Wasserfall
This
holen
is
wir
the
täglich
waterfall
unser
from which we'll get all the
sämtliches
water
Wasser, was wir
we need
benötigen,
for
also zum
cooking or
Kochen zum
washing up or
Beispiel,
drinking.
zum Abwaschen
I
oder
would
zum
love to pour
Trinken.
some of this
Am
cold
liebsten
water
würde ich
over
von diesem
myself,
kühlen
but
Nass
that's
gleich
not
erstmal einen
possible.
richtigen Eimer hier
There are
nehmen,
too many
aber das
germs in
geht
it,
leider
and
nicht,
everything
denn
has
da
to
sind
be
sehr viele
boiled.
Keime drin und das muss immer alles abgekocht werden.
For example, there are bacteria or dangerous parasites which are best avoided, especially since the nearest doctor is 8 hours away. Other comforts are not available in the jungle at all, like telephones.
Bayanga, like a da.
An antiquated two-way radio must suffice. There is no mains electricity, only a generator on its last legs in the shed. Everything constantly needs repairing. No wonder with 80% humidity. This has become routine for the scientists. The camp has become their home. Thomas is on his way to see Angelique. She has lived in Africa for 10 years.
I really just came for 6 months, and I actually was quite worried, as one is when you're going into some kind of an unknown territory. You know, it's a bit scary. Up until that point, I'd worked with captive gorillas, had quite close relationships with captive gorillas, but never had that contact, you know, or been in somewhere where there was no barriers, you know, and obviously there's a very high elephant population here too. So I had my concerns about coming here, but actually you get used to the life here very quickly, whether it's, you know, dealing with wild animals, dealing with, you know, insects, which some people don't like, or you know, diseases such as malaria and things like this.
Thomas's new evening task, to search for unwanted visitors. Scorpions, snakes and insects like hiding in clothes and mattresses.
Also nicht nur das genaue
It is
Absuchen
not just
des
important
Bettes
to
hier nach
search the bed
Ungeziefer ist sehr, sehr
carefully for
wichtig,
vermin.
sondern vor allen Dingen
The
natürlich das
mosquito net is vital.
Moskitonetz. Denn hier in der
The Central African
zentralafrikanischen
Republic
Republik
is a
ist ja
stronghold
quasi
of
die
tropical
Hochburg der
diseases.
Tropenkrankheiten.
For example,
Zum Beispiel
you
gibt
have
es
river
die
blindness.
Flusskrankheit. Das ist
You
eine
get
kleine
that from a
Fliege,
fly
die
which
legt ihre
lays
Eier
its
so
eggs
richtig
under
unter
your
die
skin,
Haut
and
und
they
die
get
gelangen
into your
dann in den
bloodstream until they reach your
Blutkreislauf,
eyes,
wandern
and
so
then you
langsam
can
hier
go
hoch den
blind.
Körper bis in die Augen und daran kann man dann
nobody
erblinden. Das
wants
möchte
that.
natürlich keiner. Aber auch sehr
And of
wichtig ist
course you
natürlich die
don't want to get
Prophylaxe
malaria, so you have to take
gegen
a pill
Malaria.
every evening.
Deswegen muss man hier jeden Abend eine Tablette nehmen.
Before he left Germany, Thomas had vaccines for yellow fever, hepatitis A and B, rabies and typhoid. Anyone who thinks a jungle is at least an oasis of quiet is mistaken. Only earplugs can help. At 6:30 sharp next morning, they set off on their next expedition into the rainforest. The days start early in the jungle.
Jetzt geht's wieder
Now
raus in
for
den
another
Dschungel.
trip into the
Und
jungle.
mit ein bisschen Glück, so
And
hat
if we're
Angelique
lucky,
gesagt,
Angelique said I
werde
might
ich
get to see
vielleicht
the
auch den
rest of
Rest
the
der
family.
Familie endlich kennenlernen.
Angelique always has a GPS, a map, and her notebook with her in the forest.
Those data you collect, what are they about?
So I just collect long-term data, and the long-term data that everybody collects is diet, ranging whether they're hooting or not, whether they have an interaction. We collect data at nests if need be. Anything else? And what kind of forest types they use in certain cases.
After nearly 2 hours of walking through the hot, humid jungle, the team find Makumba again.
He knows that we are here now.
There are certain rules that need to be observed when in direct contact with gorillas.
So we tend to be quite polite with them, you know. If someone wants to walk in front of us, then we just let them go. So what you find gorillas often do is turn their back to you. Because they just, even if with a captive gorilla, they would turn their back to you. They don't necessarily like confronting people face on. Yeah, I don't like to be in anybody's space. I don't think it's polite.
This makes filming even more difficult for Thomas. In addition, Makumba can hardly be seen through the thick vegetation. Several juveniles are playing close to the silverback.
Why do they follow the father? Why do they follow Makumba instead of the father?
So Makumba, I mean, he's like a babysitter, so he stays with always with the younger individuals. The females go off and find their quality food in the forest.
That is a juvenile which can't yet walk upright. It keeps on trying. I didn't know about that.
Many gorillas walk around on 2 legs. This juvenile seems to enjoy it particularly. Makumba's favourite snack is termites, rich in protein, and because the little one thinks of nothing but food, he follows his father's example.
Masokabuli's always trying to finish these termites that he picked up from Makumba. So most gorillas eat termites. They crack open the mound and they tap it on their hand like this. And then and they put it in their mouth. And Masoka also hasn't learnt yet really very well the tapping technique, so he also eats it. What, did you just saw him tap then?
The rest of the gang only know about play. After a while, the patriarch has had enough.
At the moment, he's calling for the females to come back. The most important thing for them is to eat. And so they come when they want to, and he can ask all he likes, but they come when they want. So, females in charge, yeah.
Thomas has to be patient in order to get good footage.
Not easy to film. Man sieht halt einfach
You just can't see anything.
überall
It's all
Blattwerk
leaves,
und
and mostly
ja,
you
meistens
miss.
geht's daneben.
The wait pays off. After half an hour, the females join the silverback and the youngsters. The family, a dozen individuals in all, makes its way to Hoko Bai, a large clearing. The long kiki grass is a treat and a rich source of important minerals. Finally, a clear view through the camera. Thomas is lucky to be able to film the gorillas in the open clearing. They spend most of their time in the dense jungle.
When I look at the whole family, then I have a big problem for my film. I can't tell them apart. I think I need to take lessons with Angelique so I can somehow tell their faces apart.
Angelique knows the family tree of the gorilla group by heart.
So, of course, the easiest person or gorilla, to identify is Makumba. So he's the silverback. Mm-hmm. And then he has 3 females. The first of those females is Bombay. Mm-hmm. The second is Malui. And then the third one is Mopambi.
Each female has 2 young. They can be distinguished somehow or other.
They have 3 wives, or?
Malui has Masoko Buli, which means big head, but we normally call him Masoko. Masoko Buli is the very round individual that he actually finds it a little bit awkward to walk because he's so round.
But that's the one who's always eating.
He's always eating. Spring in the group.
Thomas learns that the gorilla that walks on 2 legs is called Bokata, and that you can tell a lot about animals by the tips of their noses.
Is it normal that every female has 2?
So each of the females, you can tell them apart by their nose prints. And all the kids, they inherit the same nose as their mother. We have Malui, who also has a fairly wide nose. But unlike Bombay, she has these little marks above her nose. And she's also got quite Asian eyes. And, and of course, in the end, like, you know, as soon as you've been with them, maybe, 2 or 3 weeks, you'll start to see that they are completely different from each other, as different as you and I. Mm-hmm. And you really won't have to even think about noses or anything like this anymore. And you'll just get it. You really will know who's who.
In Bayanga, a typical local village with 4,000 inhabitants, Thomas and Angelique stock up with supplies for the camp. The shopping list consists mainly of durable goods. Fresh foods would go off very quickly in the heat and would also be a feast for flies.
What is this here? It's a real kid. I can't believe it. I think this is not to sell, huh?
French and the local language Sango are spoken in the region. Angelique is fluent in both, and because they have known each other for years, she doesn't pay, but gets credit.
Okay, very good. Thank you, my friend.
Fully laden, they make their way back to the jungle. In the coming weeks, Thomas gets to know Makumba's clan much better and hits upon the tracks of other forest inhabitants.
What is this?
A strange discovery.
Mein Führer hat gerade erzählt, dass das die Badewanne eines Elefanten ist, von denen gibt es hier im Dschungel mehrere. Und in der Trockenzeit, wenn die Flüsse und Bäche immer weiter runtergehen und immer weniger Wasser führen, dann kommen sie hierher zu diesen Senken, um sich zu waschen.
In addition to jungle baths, Thomas finds other signs of forest elephants, and not just footprints.
Mhm. Et le Guluma?
Guluma, le bokoko.
Mhm. Das ist also der Kothaufen eines Elefanten und in ihm sind hier die Samen der Guluma-Pflanze aufgegangen.
In this way, the elephants contribute to the spread of plants and to the conservation of the rainforest.
Ich würde nur allzu
I
gerne
would
die
love to
mächtigen
film the mighty
Waldelefanten
forest
filmen, wie
elephants
sie
as
auf
they
diesen
walk along
schmalen
these
Pfaden
narrow
hier gehen.
trails.
Aber dieser
But this
Traum wird
dream
wohl
will never
niemals in
come
Erfüllung
true.
gehen. Molube, mein
Molube,
Führer,
my
hat mir
guide,
gerade
has
erklärt,
just
dass
told
die
me that the
Waldelefanten
forest elephants
extrem
are very
aggressiv sind
aggressive
und
and
uns
would attack
sofort
us
angreifen
if they
würden,
found us
wenn
on
sie
these
uns auf diesen
trails.
Pfaden
That's why
entdecken
we have to
würden.
be
Deswegen
very
müssen wir ganz
quiet.
leise sein.
Thomas doesn't yet know how quickly dreams can come true.
In dieser Hütte hier lagert all
All
meine
my
Ausrüstung
equipment is in this
und
hut,
jeden Abend
and
muss ich
every evening I have to
speziell die
clean my
Kamera sehr
camera
ausführlich
very
reinigen,
carefully,
denn hier im Dschungel
because everything
verdreckt
gets
sie
dirty
unheimlich
so
schnell.
quickly in the
Sehr
jungle.
wichtig ist auch,
It's
dass
also very
ich die
important to
Kamera
protect
vor
my camera from
Feuchtigkeit
humidity.
schütze, deswegen kommt sie
That's why
für
I
die
put it
Nacht in
into an
diesen
airtight
luftdichten
sack
Sack
overnight.
hinein. Und damit auch wirklich alle Luftfeuchtigkeit aus der
And to
Kamera
make sure
rauskommt,
all moisture comes
brauche ich
out,
noch ein
I use a special
spezielles
drying
Trockenmittel.
agent.
Und das sorgt dafür, dass alle Feuchtigkeit rauskommt.
Next day, Thomas will go into the jungle without Angelique. Before he departs, the gorilla expert gives him a few tips.
If a gorilla charges you, then you basically just stand still and you do nothing. It's very rare now that they'll charge you because they're habituated, but sometimes we make mistakes and we don't realise it. You have to sort of know a little bit about gorilla etiquette. It's often because, you know, a female wants to go somewhere and we're blocking her path, and then she'll scream, and then maybe the silverback will come running, or maybe she will come running.
Thomas is accompanied by Daniela Hedwig, another scientist in the Hopi The trackers find Makumba's family quite quickly, and Thomas's daily battle with the dense vegetation starts.
No, I don't see anything. Wrong place again.
Thomas knows about the problems in the thick forest now. Giving up is not an option.
I can't film so high. That's the jungle. Always something in the way. I can't see anything.
The gorillas are only vague shapes in the jungle. Not one shot is successful.
Oh no, you just can't see anything.
Man sieht halt einfach nichts.
No, this is no use. Let's use the tripod.
The very moment the tripod is ready, the target turns tail.
I know, it's gone again.
Schon wieder weg.
Some of the jungle inhabitants are too far away, others too close.
So.
Do I still have one in my eye?
Habe ich noch eine im Auge?
A short time later, Thomas gets another chance. Gorilla Lady Malui is not impressed by Thomas's camera. He does the correct thing in this situation. Stand still.
That was clear enough. This far and no further.
After a few minutes, the family has calmed down again, and the gorillas are putting on their best behavior. A wildlife filmmaker needs a lot of patience.
I've got it.
And not just that, on two legs, little Bocato runs straight in front of the camera.
Bocato's upright walk, it's not just comical. Scientists assume it's a sign of intelligence. Bocato often uses his upright gait walk quite consciously to his advantage.
Advantages such as a better view of danger and fewer attacks from aggressive termites. While the siblings are romping around, a loner is conspicuous.
That is Masoko. I think he is the coolest. He spends all day eating. I'd like to be able to do that.
Thomas has become a jungle expert.
Great. That was great.
Following a gorilla family is becoming easier, but for now, it's back to Germany to await the next visit to the Silverback and his clan. After a break of several months, Thomas returns to Central Africa. He wonders how the gorillas have developed. What does their future hold? Logging camps can be seen quite clearly from the air. Every year, 1.5 million hectares of rainforest are cleared in the Congo Basin. Despite the protected area status, the destruction of the forests where the gorillas live is going on at a dramatic rate. In addition, the roads made by the loggers attract poachers. The small aircraft lands in the middle of the jungle, just an hour and a half's drive from the camp. In the evening, Thomas and Angelique celebrate their reunion.
This is Belgian chocolate.
Chocolate in the jungle, such a luxury.
Suddenly, the alarms on the security fence go off. Invaders in the camp. Calls and loud rattling from the darkness bring the peaceful evening to an abrupt end.
Can you see it? I think he went around there, huh?
Forest elephants have made their way into the camp, but nobody knows where the importunate neighbors are.
Here at the house. Do you think it's safe to be here in the camp now? Hey!
Loud noises are intended to scare the animals off, without success.
Well, this could be
Das
fun.
geht jetzt schon 2 Stunden
We've had
und
2 hours of this, and the
Elefanten lassen
elephants
sich irgendwie
won't
nicht vom
move away.
Camp wirklich fernhalten.
The results of the visit can soon be seen.
Hier sieht
You
man den
can see a
Fußabdruck
footprint of a bull.
von dem
The
Bullen.
cow was here too, with her
Hier war auch noch
calf.
eine Kuh mit ihrem Kalb dabei und die haben jetzt hier
And they tore
den
this wire.
Draht eingerissen. Doli, Doli.
Doli means elephant in Sango.
Ich möchte mir gar
I
nicht
don't want
vorstellen,
to
was
imagine
einem da
what
durch
would
den
go
Kopf
through
geht,
my
wenn man in
mind
diesem
if I
Bett
were
schläft
asleep and the
und der
elephant
Elefant
pokes his
steckt hier
tusks
die
inside and bellows at
Stoßzähne
you.
rein
I think I'd be
und brüllt
scared
einen
to
an.
death.
Ich glaube,
You
da hat man
can't
richtig
get out because it's
Todesangst.
all locked.
Kommst ja auch nicht
No
raus.
second
Ist ja
door.
alles verschlossen. Es gibt keine zweite Tür.
Peace finally returns after the fright. The elephants have retreated to the forest, and Thomas goes to sleep. Less than half an hour later, more crashing. This time, right in front of Thomas's hut. He has a visitor. After a further 2 hours of kitchen duty, the elephants make their way back to the forest. The night is short, just 4 hours sleep.
The elephants have taken half the camp apart, and I would have liked to have slept more, but now we have to go to the gorillas.
Aber jetzt müssen wir los zu den Gorillas.
Even before breakfast, Thomas prepares his equipment thoroughly. There are more dangers in the jungle than elephants.
Jeden Morgen muss ich die Ausrüstung
Every
ganz
morning
genau
I have to go
durchgehen,
through my
denn ich
equipment
darf
and make
absolut
sure I
nichts
haven't
vergessen.
forgotten anything. It takes us
Wir
1 or
brauchen
2
ja
hours
meistens
until
1,
we
2 Stunden,
find
bis
the
wir die
gorillas.
Gorillas überhaupt finden.
And
Und
if I'm
wenn
missing
dann
a
irgendwie
tape
im
or a battery
entscheidenden
goes
Moment
flat,
eine Kassette
then I may
fehlt
as well go
oder
home
eine
again.
Batterie ausgeht,
It's even
dann
more
kann man
important
eigentlich
that
gleich
everything
aufhören
is
und wieder
packed
zurückgehen.
watertight. There
Noch
could be
viel
a
wichtiger
shower
ist
any
allerdings,
moment.
dass alles richtig wasserdicht verpackt wird. Denn draußen kann uns natürlich jeden Moment ein Regenschauer überraschen. Es gibt zum
I have
Beispiel
a
eine
rain
Regenhülle
cover
für die
for my
Kamera,
camera,
ein
a
Poncho,
poncho, and
und
the
auch dieser
rucksack is
Rucksack hier ist
waterproof.
wasserdicht. Wir
We
Menschen haben
humans,
natürlich
of
mit dem
course,
Regen
have
nicht so
less of
sehr
a
ein
problem
Problem,
with rain,
aber
but
wenn
of
es draußen
course,
richtig
if there's a
regnet
heavy
und die
shower and the
Technik wird
equipment
unter
gets
Wasser
wet,
gesetzt,
then
dann
it's
ist natürlich
all over.
sofort alles vorbei.
There's another problem, with visible consequences.
Gegen eins kann man hier allerdings
There's
relativ
little
wenig
one can
machen.
do
Die
about the
Luftfeuchtigkeit
atmospheric
ist
humidity,
grundsätzlich
which is very
unheimlich hoch.
high. Often the
Und das
images
führt
are
häufig
steamed
dazu,
up,
dass
like
einige
these.
Bilder so ein bisschen benebelt aussehen, wie diese hier.
Despite the short night, Thomas can't wait to be back with the gorillas. In the impenetrable undergrowth, camp leader Commander soon finds a definite trail.
Das ist natürlich super
It's
spannend.
really
Also hier
exciting.
unten sieht man
Down
den
here you
Bruthaufen
can see
von
the dung
Weibchen.
heap of a
Das kann er
female.
ganz klar
He can
identifizieren.
identify that
Und er
quite
weiß,
clearly.
dass das Nest
And he
von
knows
Malui
that this
ist,
is Malui's
weil hier
nest,
drüben,
because here in the
mitten im
middle of the
Nest,
nest there are some
ganz,
small
ganz kleine,
droppings,
ich sag mal
and
Ködel
they can
liegen.
only be
Und die
tembos,
können nur von Tempo
these
sein.
small ones here.
Diese kleinen hier.
The camera has steamed up again, but 10 minutes later, Thomas has his next success. The Bahaka find the not-so-small tembo.
Der ist ja richtig kräftig geworden.
He's grown by about 20 to 30
Und
centimeters.
bestimmt
Little
20,
Tembo.
30 Zentimeter größer geworden. Der kleine Tembo.
The youngest family member has become very cheeky. Previously seen most often on his mother Malui's back, he is now fooling around the highest trees. No sign of fear.
Schon erstaunlich, was ein paar
Amazing what
Monate
difference a
ausmachen.
few months can make.
And a further old acquaintance appears in front of the camera.
In front, that's Mosoko.
Ich sehe ihn wieder.
Finally, I see him again.
Fand ich ja schon auf meiner
I
ersten
liked him the
Reise.
first time I was here because
Ganz
he was
deutlich, weil er
always
immer am
eating.
Fressen ist.
He still seems to be doing that because he's grown even fatter.
Break open the termite's nest, put termites on the hand, eat. Masoko has perfected this technique. He doesn't think much of a nap after lunch.
richtig toll finde, das
What
freut
makes
mich
me
für
really
Mosoko,
happy for
dass er
Mosoko
einfach
is
nicht mehr
that he's
dieser
no
Einzelgänger
longer a
ist.
loner.
Das allererste Mal,
This
dass
is the
ich filmen
first time
kann,
I filmed him
dass er
playing with his
mit seinen
sibling.
Geschwistern
And you can
ausgiebig
see he
spielt.
enjoys it, which never
Und
used to
man
be
sieht
the
auch richtig,
case.
dass er Spaß daran hat. Und das war ja vorher
I
niemals
think
der
that's
Fall.
nice and a good development for
Finde ich
him.
schön, da sieht man richtig eine tolle Entwicklung für ihn auch.
The rainy season starts. There is nothing the inhabitants of the camp can do other than retreat to their huts and wait. Next day, no signs remain of the heavy rainfall. Angelique has big plans for the future. More groups should be habituated to humans, including ecotourism groups.
We really need to make this whole sort of tourism program work. We need to be sustainable, and we need to be generating money that is put back into conservation. As far as my job is concerned, I mean, that's definitely our vision, and it's getting there. The program is really working, and it makes you feel good.
To finish off, Thomas takes some final shots of Makumba and his family. The Dzanga-Sangha National Park, home of the western lowland gorillas, is a mini paradise. Nature conservation organizations and dedicated scientists like Angelique have been able to successfully contribute to the conservation of this oasis. The destruction of their habitat and poaching are resulting in increasing pressure on the lowland gorillas. Just like mountain gorillas, they are on the red list of endangered species.
I hope that my footage can contribute to the protection of these endangered animals. But I have to say that, without Angelique, and particularly the Ba'aka, I would not have been able to film any of this.
At present, the western lowland gorillas are the most numerous gorilla species. Their numbers are estimated at 100,000 individuals. Scientists and wildlife filmmakers are working hand in hand to ensure a secure future of the kings of the jungle.